One of the major alluring features the game of Yu-Gi-Oh! Has is the diverse cast of different characters depicted in their many archetypal designs. Archetypes in Yu-Gi-Oh! Are a set of cards connected not only by theme, but also usually by name as well. These cards often share similar design choices, art style, card gimmicks, and some even have a story connected to the cards relating them to their own archetype as well as others. Some of these cards may be cute, cool, awesome, and even beautiful at times. But it's October, so we're going to forget all that and focus on something a little more on brand. I'm JC Theater Yu-Gi-Oh! And today I'm going to go over my top 10 list of the creepiest, scariest, and overall spookiest archetypes in Yu-Gi-Oh! Starting off our list at number 10, I want to introduce you guys to a little archetype known as a MorphAge. A MorphAge are a series of pendulum dragons whose art depicts something truly sinister and, quite frankly, truly sad. The MorphAge monsters are a bunch of normal animals such as a wolf, eagle, and even a hedgehog who have been infected by some sort of disease. This disease actually comes from the staff of Vector Pendulum, the Drake Overlord, who uses his dragon alchemy to mutate the normal animals into his minions. The fact that most of the MorphAge cards depict the monsters in the middle of their transformation just seems gross and painful, with all the twisted flesh and protruding dragonic parts emerging from these once often docile and innocent animals. Number 9. Archfiends in the OCG are just straight up called demons. Usually depicted as having bones and muscles all over their bodies, as opposed to inside of their bodies, Archfiends look demonic, powerful, evil, and overall just plain scary. They were one of the first solidified archetypes and have been part of the game of Yu-Gi-Oh! For a very long time. Sadly, these cards suck, especially the first iteration of Archfiends that focused on a chess theme for their different monsters. So that's why this quite scary archetype was pegged down to number 9. OG OCG Acts of Despair is pretty cool though. Number 8 on my list is clowns, and I'm not talking about those cute performages either. Even though, due to their meta-relevance and partial causation of an emergency ban list, one can argue that they are truly the scarier of the two. But alas, number 8 on this list is the original, old-school clowns you would see straight out of a 2002 clown-controlled deck profile. People are scared of clowns. Whether it be irrational or completely justifiably rational, clowns are quite common fear. There's not much to say about this other than that it's not only just clowns, but literally clowns meant to look scary. So I had to include these guys on the list, right? H.P. Lovecraft was a writer of weird and horrific fiction from the early 20th century. In the early 21st century, the Yu-Gi-Oh! Gods decided to make the Entity Monsters, number 7 on my list, which is an archetype inspired by Lovecraftian designs and mythos. What's scarier than these crazy, freaky, very detailed depiction of these horrors is the boom of Cthulhu-related pop culture references that popped up during the early 2010s. A simpler time where bacon was epic and people always must ask you a question. Those who frequented Spencer's and Hot Topics across the land thrived in this era. And isn't that the scariest thing of all? Going back to the theme mentioned in number 10 of being infected by something, Evil Swarm is coming in at number 6 on my list. Personal bias of really liking this deck a lot on a personal level aside, these guys are scary because they, again, are diseased and transformed versions of something else. This time, instead of a MorphAge who focused on infecting literal random animals, Evil Swarm infected a huge list of different dual terminal archetypes. To me, this is kind of worse due to the fact that these are individuals with personalities and backstories themselves who transformed into something purely evil and vile. Plus, the whole dark aesthetic, in my opinion, is worse and scarier than a MorphAge's dragon thing. And let's not forget the scary gameplay aspect of this archetype and how they focus too heavily on getting rid of high-level monsters in a game that has two widely used gameplay mechanics completely devoid of levels. Number 5 isn't necessarily a cop-out, but more of an ode to a whole slew of monsters. Though I'm giving this spot to the Destiny board cards, it really goes to all of Bakura's crazily creepy monsters such as Curse and Dark Necrofear and Diabound Colonel. These are ripped right from the Nightmare Fuel factory and definitely are used in tandem with the Destiny board cards enough to be included, right? There's a duality here as well. On one hand, we had twisted demonic nightmares, and then with Destiny board cards, we have a reference to a Ouija board, something that is truly scary and grounded in reality. Overall, Bakura was some messed up dude. Number 4 on my list is something truly frightening. Anime girls. Now, before you dislike the video, the real reason trap tricks are on here is because the trap trick monsters, as some of you may be aware, are actually the holes themselves and not the anime girls that the holes use in order to lure losers to their death. Remember that cool transition I used between the entity monsters and evil swarms? Number 3 on my list is worms. Not just any worms. Reptile-type worms are an archetype of aliens that are really grotesque and look so squishy and formless. If any aliens were to ever visit Earth, I would not want these to be the ones to reach us. Plus, as a common theme on this list, the archetype itself is pretty bad, but on top of that, they have one of the most broken cards in the game, yet still suck in so many other ways that it truly doesn't matter. The fact that a literally amazing card cannot save an archetype is the truly scary thing about worms, because it makes us casual players who love only bad archetypes realize sometimes archetypes are unsavable. Number 2 on my list is an archetype that was literally made in order to be included on top 10 spooky Yu-Gi-Oh! Archetype lists. Ghost Tricks. Poorly aging gimmicks aside, the artwork literally features all of the American Halloween staples such as Frankenstein's monster, mummies, werewolves, and pumpkins. They even have more universal Halloween time staples from other cultures and even some Christmas stuff because all holidays are basically the same thing. Honorable mentions for this list are aliens because apparently I can have 2 disease-style archetypes on the list, but I draw the line at only having 1 alien archetype. Evil heroes because they seem more cool to me than scary. Predaplants because I love Little Shop of Horrors and it would have been probably 11 on this list. And Vendreads because they're really cool and scary, but they just aren't scarier or spookier than the other archetypes on this list in my opinion. Number 1 is Gimmick puppets. These are the creepiest looking monsters in the game of Yu-Gi-Oh! For essentially no reason. They didn't have to flex this hard with a human centipede wannabe or a little girl doll in a coffin. The use of multiple bodies smushed together is just unsettling as well, and ultimately, all of these guys are just ugly in the best and most effective ways possible. This is definitely the scariest archetype, and though they again are not the best, they are definitely not the worst in terms of gameplay on this list, and honestly, I respect the archetype and wish it the best. And that's the list. I hope you guys enjoyed this little Halloween-inspired top 10. It was really fun to make and actually made me go down some archetypal rabbit holes and may lead to some new deck profiles in the future. Let me know in the comments below what other archetypes you believe should be on this list that I might have missed. Also, make sure to like the video and subscribe to see more cool videos by yours truly. I'm JC Theater Yu-Gi-Oh! And I appreciate you guys for watching. See ya!